What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to episode 19 of Domiciled, the podcast that explores the subculture of truck drivers as well as logistics professionals, bringing their stories to the masses. I'm your host, Scott Cleary, and before Paul and I get started, you know what's happening. We're going to give Purple Squirrel some love. So Purple Squirrel represents freight agents, freight brokerages, and freight forwarding companies. If you'd like to learn more, reduce your liability, and grow your career, you should have a chat with Ryan Smith over at Purple Squirrel about becoming an independent agent. They represent multiple broker and forwarding companies, allowing them to provide you with several career offers. You have options. Let them advocate on your behalf. So their website is below, www.purplesquirrel.llc. Also, follow the intake form that's listed in the comments. First comment. Fill it out and start the next step in your career with Purple Squirrel. So, Paul, what's up? Season 4 of Shoresy is out. I know you loved that. I'm currently loving it.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
I know you did.
I watched it all. I was calling you. Say, yeah. The funny part is that you hadn't watched the previous season, so you're catching up on that. And while you're catching up on that, I'm catching up on the fourth. I got to tell you, grade A television. Grade A television. Yeah. But here's what's really important, Scott, that we're missing here. Did you hit your macros today?
You know I hit my macros today. I have to have dinner after this. Get my eggs and turkey bacon with the egg white. Oh shit! I ran out of egg whites.
He's not gonna do it today, folks.
No, we'll have 4 eggs. We'll have 4 eggs.
Oh boy!
Oh jeez! What am I gonna
do? Jake's.
Did you hit yours? Are you gonna hit yours?
Oh, I'm dialed all the way in. We had our oatmeal for breakfast as a pre. Okay, we had eggs and a sweet potato for breakfast, and then we moved around, and now we've had sweet potato, quinoa, and we actually had a little steak tips for lunch.
Ooh.
And then we're going light this evening with some tilapia and some mixed vegetables, little carrots, little broccoli, little cauliflower, and going in with the quinoa again.
I was going to say, throw a little nighttime carb in there for you.
Yeah, a little nighttime carb. You got to get sometimes you got to get your carb from a grain. Sometimes you got to get it from a veggie. You know what I mean? You got to.
Yeah, sometimes you need a sub.
Sometimes you eat 6 slices of pizza. Is honestly also the
5. I did that.
That's wild. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, man. Every once in a while, a little Chick-fil-A sandwich before the gym. No one's gonna die. Nothing.
Dude, if you get the regular grilled chicken, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You get that one. That's a nice 430 calorie snack right there. Bunch of protein, little carb, no fat. Well, a little bit of oil on there. Any hooser.
Who's gonna really suffer there?
Who's gonna? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, you're not. I saw a funny little soundbite clip on the internet the other day. It was like our great grandparents built the country smoking cigarettes, eating bacon for breakfast, and like totally just drinking lard, and they were fine. So if you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. I don't know where I saw it, but
I don't. And we're so obsessed with all this, not like.
You missed your supplements. Oh no, your suppies. Yeah, no, great time over here. I was sick as a dog last week. Don't even know how we got that recording out.
You muscled through it. I think you deserve a raise or maybe a bonus or something.
Yeah, more in my life personally than at work doing. But no, so went through that.
I meant from me. I meant from the pod for muscling through.
The pod.
Yeah. No, I wasn't calling Conrad out. I could.
You can send me
KCH is sending you a T-shirt. So.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's getting the sleeves cut off of it immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Like awkward, like low,
low. Yeah, well, that's how
in the early 2000s.
My new warehouse T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on mine from Kevin Lawton. Yeah, I was the 7,000th follower of the new warehouse.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
I think I get a T-shirt for that.
I'll customize it for you, or at least I'll FaceTime you and walk you through it.
Just
go way deeper than you're supposed to on the side of it.
Yeah, like you got that much left. Just to let them know. But the thing is,
and then in the summer, I'm taking my jeans. I'm cutting the jeans short. We're going.
Oh, jorts.
Oh yeah, it's a George. It's gonna be a George summer for sure. Oof. All this work I've been doing on the hack squad. You kidding me? Oh yeah, bud. But hey, how are you doing?
I mean, I'm good. I'm well. I've had a few boring weeks, which is nice. I was telling our guests before, not very late. I was telling my guests before we all hopped on that you're still running around a lot for work and some personal vacation stuff, which is good. But it's not. It's good. It's like It's looking like almost every month for the foreseeable future. I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Maybe a month off
That's how
here
she
and there.
goes. That's how she
Yeah,
goes.
way she goes.
How's Revanova doing? We're excited about the fleet module. I see
Very.
it all over LinkedIn. I saw the winter 2025 release. Looks great over
Artemis.
there.
Yeah, we got our own little native AI agent now.
Absolutely. That's pretty awesome. I don't know any other tools that have that right now.
If they do, it's third party, and that just means sending the data outside your system, and that means it's not as secure as it could be. But
yeah,
who am I?
Yeah, I mean, in the spirit of cool product stuff, I mean, doing cool stuff over here at Conduit as well. It's very fun. The challenging thing now is so many campuses. How do you handle a campus, right? And how do you handle that on a scheduling tool or a yard management tool? That's what's fun. Things we're working on. Excited to talk about that later. I'd love to. We should probably do like a little product show and tell on one of these one day.
We should. We could. We just give really boring 45-minute demos each.
Oh no! Right. We just get a bunch of people that are in the space to make fun of us while we do it.
Oh, we could do that too.
I think that's a great idea.
People are good at chirping salespeople. All right, I'm in.
Everyone we've talked to. Where's Chris Thomas?
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
All right.
I think we bring her in.
I sure do. I think so.
Okay. So we're going back to back with the ladies. Tracy Rushing, thank you so much for joining. That was 2 weeks ago. So our next guest, Paul, is snapping necks and cash and checks as a cradle to grave national sales AE, heading up the capacity team over at Knichel Logistics. Heard of them? I'm like 95% sure I said that right. She'll correct me if I was wrong. But it's a well-known freight brokerage in the logistics space, of course. And while that is certainly impressive in and of itself, our main reason for having her on today is because we want to dig into her roots in the logistics industry a bit. I think some folks will be surprised. So she also has some advice for the younger generation, especially the young ladies out there, and those looking to get into logistics and supply chain specifically. So a big welcome to our show, Abbie Nale. What's going on? I've got to cut this out because now we can't see each other. I should have done this earlier. Get rid of the overlay. I took both of you out. It's just me. I'm going to run the show alone. Abbie, what's happening?
Well, hello. Thank you for having me.
I've definitely had a cleaner transition than that, but we'll survive.
Yeah, but that intro was pretty fun, so I'll go with it.
You like that?
Fix it in post.
Yeah, I'll fix that in post. Anyways, Abbie, wonderful to have you. How are we doing?
Very good. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, as you've heard. I love the runaway truck ramp in the back. Very appropriate.
Yeah, I'll have to chat about it. Although I've never had to use it. That was one of my biggest fears. So
let's dive right into those fears. Tell us your deepest trucking fears. Because so let's start a little bit. What got you into this crazy thing that we all do, logistics and supply chain? Let's talk about that.
So I didn't know anything about it before I left school. I went to Penn State Beaver and then Penn State Erie and left with a degree in management and marketing. And really didn't have a direction, just that I wanted to get into business somewhere. So I joined Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and they have a great management trainee program. Mm-hmm. That wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So when I had the opportunity, I took a promotion into the truck rental division. And that's really where everything opened up with the whole trucking and transportation side. And so I've been doing logistics ever since.
Nobody plans it, but we all end up in it, and then you can never leave. I have an old colleague that left a brokerage and then recently went back to a brokerage, and I just sent him a LinkedIn message saying, "Told you, always come back."
I feel like you learn so much valuable information, and the people that really get into it and love it can't leave it because it's so fast paced, and it just finding solutions and being on the spot 24/7. I think that there's just a drive that goes along with it. And when you get involved, you can't get back out. So,
yeah, 100%. And it teaches you, like you said, it teaches you so much about life.
It really does. Yeah. So the enterprise truck rental kind of getting into that. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought more or less I was trying to get people to rent trucks. So for those that don't know, it's the same thing as like the U-Hauls and the Penske's. Enterprise has their truck rental division, and they also do like fleets for other companies, all straight trucks, anything from like the small 10 to 12, 16 feet box trucks, all the way up to the 28-foot box trucks. So, and there's a lot less Enterprise locations for a truck than there are cars. So you become more of a regional location and supply trucks for trucks. Yeah. So more of the customers would be like in industrial parks. And so we could be driving for an hour or so, at a time. But yeah, they didn't tell me that I was going to be driving the trucks. That was a surprise. And the only driving lesson that you get is your first time driving. They put you in with like the manager of the branch and just kind of say good luck. So yeah,
you just go on a run.
You do. Yep, with the biggest truck they have. So it was a 28-foot box truck at the time, and I was about 30 minutes from the office, and so I had to take the truck during rush hour and drive it down to a customer and pick another one up and bring it back.
That's terrifying.
It was. I always liked trucks, like pickup trucks, but I had no idea what it was like driving one of those trucks. My feet could barely hit the pedals. The seat wouldn't move up far enough for me to even like see over the steering wheel. So I just had to sit on the very end of the seat and point my toes and sit up as straight as I could. So
and the manager's watching this. That happens to you now.
I mean, that happens. 100. You can't. I mean, I say this a lot. You can't tell by looking right now, but my chair is just high enough off the ground and my legs are just short enough that I'm swinging my feet while we're talking.
At least you're not the only one.
What'd you say?
She said, "At least you're not the only one."
Oh no, I'm not. No, there's a lot of us, Abbie. There's a lot of us that are vertically challenged. But yeah, in my Tacoma, I'm doing the same thing. I'm reaching a bit. Should have seen me when I drove stick. That was a little different.
No, so I've never even drove stick because my brother tried to teach me and I could not make it work. So thankfully, all those trucks are automatic and I don't have to shift anything. But yeah, so part of my job at Enterprise was to go to customers who have docks and try to see if they can rent my trucks. Asking them, hey, what do you do when your truck breaks down? Or do you need any more trucks? What about when business picks up? So I would show up on docks at 6:00 in the morning when companies were open with donuts and try to get them to rent the trucks. So I actually had a lot of really good luck with that. I was ranked in the nation #1 for a couple months in a row before I actually left. Yeah, in my sales. How about that?
For Abbie.
Donuts are undefeated. Donuts at a receiving office. Yeah. Let me tell you.
Nobody kicked me off the dock.
Not with enough. With enough donuts, no one's kicking you off of anything.
That's
show up with breakfast sandwiches, whole nother ballgame. They might introduce you to the GM. Like they know. Yeah. They actually carry you like this the whole way. Yeah, they carry you like this the whole way.
I have up my game. Now I do crumble cookies. So that's my ammo. So
that is legit.
That'll ruin my macros in a bite.
It's all right. Remember, cigarettes and whiskey.
Yeah, there you go.
You're fine. Oh gosh. So you're driving these 28-foot, like, so did you have to drive the 28s often? And if so, like, what was, other than the first ride back, I guess, like, what was the scary, like, sketchiest situation or like most like memory or two that stick out the most?
Oh my gosh. Well, biggest memory was in the middle of winter in my suit and my high heels. They dropped me off to pick up a truck that wouldn't start. And so I was let off with a can of ether and like just a prayer basically. So the direction was to pop the hood, and it was like an old F650, old Ford. And so I popped the hood. You have to like pull the hood forward, climbed up onto the tire and sprayed it into the intake, and then like hurry up, hop down, and ran into the truck. And I actually got it to start. So I was so proud of myself. But that was the biggest eye opener. We would have to do like basic maintenance on the trucks and stuff. So that was a crash course in truck maintenance. Anything that was not just a typical fix would have to go to the shop. And so that's why I have the runaway truck ramp. So when I left the office, I had to go down towards Pittsburgh. So if you've ever gone into Pittsburgh, there's the Fort Pitt tunnels, and this runaway truck ramp is right before the tunnels. And so on the other side of the tunnel, there was one of the dealerships, and we would take the trucks there. And so it was a Hino. That's the brand truck. And so I was coming down. I lost my brakes, and it lost the turbos all at the same time. So I couldn't even, I couldn't go any faster. The brakes were making like some weird noise. And so finally, like I coasted all the way down the rest of this hill through the tunnels and then limped it off the side of the road to the dealership. So
your truck's here. On time in full.
Yeah, it's can I get my POD now? I need to go home.
Yeah.
I gotta get this Uber
to go home.
Can you sign this? I'm done.
So what'd they say when you show up with a truck that's got no brakes and no booster?
Yeah, they were like, I'm glad you got in here.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, they had the means to fix it, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, the dealership did. So
sure they
I was ecstatic to go pick up the truck once it was fixed and bring it back up that giant hill. But
oh my gosh. So you weren't delivering it to the dealership. You just stopped the dealership. They helped you out.
I dropped it. Well, I did deliver to the dealership so that they could fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought in my head I created them as your customer too.
No, thank goodness.
That's a fun way to get into this industry.
It is. Yeah. So when the opportunity came up to work with a brokerage, I'm like, yeah, I could use, like maybe a desk job, a little something safer, warmer. And I figured I was already on the docks in the warehouses. I got to know a lot of people locally. And I know enough about trucks where if it's like a basic fix, I can have that idea in my head on like, how long is it going to take? What's reasonable and whatnot. So it gave me a lot of knowledge going into it that I didn't even realize I was gathering along the way.
What are some other things that stick out from that maybe? Also, what kind of repairs did you have to do? I need to know that as well, because that's wild.
Yeah. So on the basic form, it would be like fueling it up and checking for the different, like making sure that there was washer fluid in it and fixing the windshield wipers, because I don't know why they make the windshield wipers so tiny on those giant trucks and windows, but we would do some basic like lift gate repairs. A lot of the smaller trucks, a couple of the big ones had the lift gates, but a lot of the smallers had those. And so those would freeze up or lock up, and fixing the doors. Trucks would, because everybody, can rent these trucks. If you have a driver's license, you can go in and rent these
anyone.
trucks. So we would get trucks back. But we would get trucks back and they were like open like a can opener. The entire top would be roofed. And so we would have to get those to repair shops. So
my God.
Yeah, it's 8 feet of clearance. The truck was not 8 feet. It was much more. There was a road. Abbie, there was a road. There were a bunch of roads in Pennsylvania that I swear, like maybe once a week. Just those old school bridges. You know what I'm talking about? Those old cobblestone bridges. You're like train bridges. It's like, oh, yep, there it is again. All right. It gets to a point where you, as a car, you don't even go down that because you're like, oh, someone's gonna, if I'm trying to get home, someone's gonna be lodged. Someone is gonna like can opener the top of that box truck and just.
It happens all the time.
Oh,
so if bridges are not marked, they're supposed to be 14 feet. But if they aren't marked and they're smaller than that. You know, some people will try to just go down right underneath like the dead center of the bridge of the tunnel or whatnot, and then they always end up catching the sides of the truck. So yeah,
so Boston University up in Massachusetts, of course. There's a bridge over Sturrow Drive, and every year, and Boston University, like where the students pull up is they go through Sturrow Drive. So every year, freshmen in U-Hauls, a lot of them will go that way, or in the past, I'm sure they're corrected by now, but there's a bridge that's too low, and there's always a few each year that would be like sardine can open because they just didn't pay attention to the signs.
I hope they selected the damage waiver.
Oh, if I was renting something, I always select the damage waiver.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite bit I ever saw a comedian say was like, you rent the car for $50 a day, but for another $30, you can total it.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's the
Jackass
best.
Proved that.
Yes. Well, I actually remember that he didn't get the insurance on that. That was the whole point.
Oh, they didn't?
That one. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But
brutal.
Abbie, I'm looking through your work history here. And I see like, obviously like starting at Enterprise, and then kind of going up here. You've got some pretty good names on there, and they're like regional names in the area, right? I see WavePoint. Shout out to the folks over there. I know some folks over there. And now, I see it's like, you've been in ops, you've been a coordinator, you've run a logistics and brokerage team, and now you're, really, it sounds like, hunting and managing some pretty complex things. How is the transition coming from ops to sales?
That was probably my hardest transition. I'm used to getting in there and negotiating and finding solutions, and I'm not typically the one that's going out and getting my foot in the door with customers. It's more or less, it was always referrals, and being in and out of shippers and receivers, and then just talking to them and getting added into their carrier base. So it's been a transition. I am doing more of like an operations role now. So I'm handling freight from cradle to grave. And that helps me, have a pulse on the market, understand what rates are going for.
Mm-hmm.
And we're predominantly an IMC, which means we route freight directly on the railroads.
Mm-hmm.
So we're one of 18 companies that have contracts with all of the Class 1 railroads throughout Mexico, U.S., and Canada. So although we do have the truck brokerage piece, and I am, quoting and covering trucks during the day, I'm also doing a lot with the rail. And so it's a pretty cool puzzle to solve every day.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up rail. I was having a conversation with someone recently at Manifest, and they brought up, I was asking, why is rail so valuable, or why do you see rail as such a valuable asset, something you can provide to your customers? And they said to me that the amount of road space you would need to pull the equivalent amount of freight would have to be multiple lanes that were 20 lanes wide.
Wow.
Both ways across the U.S. to match the volume that we do on rail, just because of while it doesn't seem like the most efficient thing in the world, it moves such an ungodly amount of tonnage.
Oh, yeah.
Intermodal does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a fascinating conversation.
It is. And when you actually look at it, the freight, the consumer goods, the stock transfers, that is actually such a small piece that actually moves on the rail. A lot of it is coal and the gas and different types of industrial products that come through.
A lot of tier one, I imagine.
Yeah, but at the same time, we move 70% of our business on the rail, and it's a significant portion. And that's just what we're doing, in one office. So it's really cool, though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of like misconceptions. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I do every day is talk to people about what the true transit times are, what the true prices are, because a lot of people think, it's going to take a month to deliver something. Meanwhile, coast to coast is 7 to 10 days. North and south, we're talking 2 to 3 days. So it's really a good option to not only be sustainable and move your freight, but we can do a lot of the same things that we can do over the road.
Yeah, they probably got an experience of a broker taking something and railing it and then not telling them, which happens.
I never did that. I wanted to, but I didn't.
Yeah, there a lot of people, Scott, wanted to do
so
it.
I was told a horror story about that. So first, I loved moving rail when I could, because again, so to your point of being cradle to grave, if most of it's rail, that does make life a smidge easier because you're not chasing a truck, like you've got this capacity. Anyways, still a lot to do. But one of my best bosses ever, shout out Tina Satariano. She came from, I was at Blue Gray. She came from CH Central in Chicago. And one of her only like hard no's was like moving rail without telling the customer, because she moved like worm feces for somebody. I guess that was a thing.
Dirt?
I guess, but like I guess it was like I don't know, whatever it was gross. But yeah, I guess to your point, probably is dirt in a form anyway. But she said she moved at rail in her earlier days without telling the customer, and they like, I think they said like don't move at rail, but she was just out of like, oh, she thought it was transit. So she's like, she did it for the buck at the time. And I guess when it showed up at the consignee, I mean, first off, you can tell it's a freaking, it's 40 foot, it's a 53 foot, rail car. But it was just, it came in glass jars. It was just all over the trailer, like all over the inside of the trailer, just shattered, and there's all over the walls. And she's like, yeah, I lost that customer.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So that was her big like no was you don't do that.
It's a big no. It's a big
they say no rail, you don't go rail.
Yeah, there's some things you got to get taught, right? But there's not always someone to teach you what the right way or the wrong way to do something is, which we talked a little bit before, Abbie. You mentioned that you were involved with Next Gen Trucking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, talking about training and an understanding of the market and what's happening here. I'd love for you to tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so there's an awesome group called Next Gen Trucking, and that's about letting everybody know from middle school, high school, all the way up that there are all these opportunities in the logistics and transportation world. I think some people during COVID started to get an understanding when the supply chain disruption, was blamed for everything. But a lot of it, from the diesel mechanics to the drivers to dispatchers to people on the docks and the warehouse, those are all important jobs to fill. And I think a lot of younger folks, me included, I never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it growing up, coming up through school. And so getting into the trucking industry was completely new for me. So that group there, the Next Gen Trucking, they help to spread that awareness and also give opportunities, help with getting CDLs, driving experience and everything. And then Women in Trucking and a few other groups. There's so many women groups now that are also spreading that word and helping women understand all the different jobs that are available to us in this industry. So it's great to get involved. It's great to kind of find some allies and for people who want to throw your name in a room of people. But there's just endless options and opportunities in this industry. There's so many touches to each shipment. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's really awesome. I mean, it sounds like you're involved in a ton of things, right, from cradle to grave, which I think most people think about as being like a total, like a scary thing. I know a lot of folks, like, you either love cradle to grave or you like live and die by your ops team, right? And, doing that, being involved in organizations, I mean, it sounds like you're a pretty organized and squared away person. I think that shows by being involved in all those things.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an important piece to it, especially, starting 15 years ago, I really didn't get to speak to many women. And now a lot of my customers, a lot of my coworkers, a lot of the drivers, we're starting to see more women in the mix. And so even helping with like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts have a badge, and I had the opportunity to speak to a bunch of little girls who were working towards their trucking badge. And so I got to speak with them, and they got their trucking badge.
Okay, so you spoke to them.
Yeah, I spoke to them, did a little presentation with them, and just, pointed out some regular things in the room, like had everybody look at their shoes. And you realize all the different pieces that make up your shoes and all the different transportation between bringing products in from across the world and, different cotton and colors, like the different dyes and all that stuff. So, and not only that, but once we have it here and we make the shoe, all the trucking that's needed to get the shoe distributed from the manufacturer to the stores, and then picking it up at the store and driving it home. So it was definitely eye-opening for them, and it's exciting because they brought in, this was at the a community college in Wyoming, and they brought in so many women drivers, truck drivers. The Women in Trucking trailer came, which is the Whitney trailer. And so it was just a great way to show all these, not only the little girls, but their whole families, all the opportunities that, we can do in the trucking industry. So
yeah, I just looked it up. I just looked it up while you were talking. I love the Trucks Are for Girls.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
That's so awesome. And it looks like there's quite a bit of work there.
Quite a bit of what?
It looks like there's quite a bit of folks that have partnered with
nice.
Trucks Are for Girls. That's awesome.
And you're one of the original members of Next Gen Trucking, right?
Yeah, one of the founding members of it. But they're out there doing their thing. I'm just here, being part of the membership, but always trying to spread the word because I think it's so important.
Well, that's a big part of it too, though. You can fight the good fight all you want, but if you have a pretty good presence on LinkedIn, so I'm sure you use that as a medium for it. So that's takes all kinds, takes all parts, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the more you know, one of those.
Exactly. Yeah. The more you know, and it is really cool thinking about. I like how that's how you broke it down to the kids of like taking the shoe, and you got down to like again there's leather, there's plastic. There's dye, there's string, the laces, the little plastic that comes off the top of all of that. Like you don't just get like shoe. It's not, or even like two pieces. It's really cool. And I'm sure as a kid, it's pretty wild to understand. Like once your eyes are open to that, and you just see this whole other side of the world, because even as adults, right? And we say this a lot, but like there's trucks with us all the time, and we don't even notice them other than people complaining about them, right? Because they think they're a nuisance, yet they're getting everything you need where it needs to go. And again, we just don't even think about it. Like there's LTL carriers and there's truckload carriers, and then you have the chemicals, and you have the circular chemical, the circular truck versus the oval truck, and those carry different things. And just as a kid too, especially because kids love trucks no matter what, I think, to a certain point, then getting to explain to them what it all means, that must have been a really cool chat.
Yeah, it was definitely cool, and it was super interactive, and all the girls got to ask questions too. My favorite question was on the rail, if I ship the lions and the tigers to the zoo, like the animal cracker boxes. That's what her mind was. That was my favorite.
That's so awesome.
That's a great one.
That's so cool. I always loved like how it's made when I was a kid.
Yeah, dude, it's on Netflix, on Hulu now. It's on Hulu now. Very
exciting. Know what I'm doing tonight. But I always am amazed. Like I spend a lot of time in warehouses, and I am always amazed by the fact that like trucking, logistics, warehousing, third party, all of it, manufacturing, all of it. The act of moving a good and storing a good from point A to point B has fundamentally not changed aside from the technology in 2,000 years.
Yep.
You can go and find old documents in like Rome where someone's like, yeah, you delivered late and I went with another vendor. And I don't know if they had detention then, but like, I'm serious, like all the way from shipping lines to like how things move and manifests, and it's all the same. And there's so much, I always think it's so funny. There's so much in our industry that's either like shipping from like in English, a lot of our words are from shipping, right? Because the English went all over the place. But like, we've got French words, we've got, all this different language that's all around the same thing in our freight lexicon. That's the word I was looking for. And it's just so neat that like, it's probably going to be the same way in another 1,000 years. And, it'll just be on something different, but all that language will stay the same. It's so cool. I'm glad to hear those kids are really kind of soaking it up like a sponge.
They are, and it just starts the wheels turning, and and now, like you said, like driving down the road, you see all these trucks. I think about all the enterprise trucks and how those people probably don't know how to drive an enterprise truck. So.
Oh yeah,
are you better off being behind or ahead of those people?
Just get out of the way.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I always think of the final mile guys that deliver some furniture that are coming and definitely have rented a Penske truck or a enterprise truck, and it's just a couple of folks that are doing deliveries, local final mile to the doorstep, and it is you see them here in Chicago all the time, and there's some folks that are super professional. There's other folks where I'm like, all right, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to get like 15 car lengths behind this thing, and I am not sure it knows what street or alley it's going to turn down.
Nope, they probably bit off more they can chew on that one.
Yeah, it was paying a lot per mile, right? So they were.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so you talked about the next gen trucking a bit. Was there more you wanted to say around the women in trucking? I know you touched on that a bit. I just want to make sure that we went kind of down the final mile route. I want to make sure to get too off track if you had more to say, or.
No, I mean, basically just letting women know that these groups are out there for not only support, but to help you figure out the next steps in your career and where you can go. If you feel like you're pigeonholed into one piece of that transportation, just understanding what all is out there. So.
And that actually, I like that you brought that up too, because I was thinking that earlier when you said like, oh, we all fell into this, and that is a very good point. I think everybody should know that. Like, you're not pigeonholed into one thing, right? Paul and I have made our careers in sales, mostly in logistics, and if we decided tomorrow that we just do not want to be in sales anymore within our organizations or even at another one, somebody would hire us for something else. Like, would it be a step back? Like, absolutely. But, given that you have, brokerage experience, that you've sold software, so you've sold back to the people that you used to be, or like for Paul, I know you work on a dock with Conduit, you are getting to know different facets of the industry. So you could move if you just decide like, hey, the sales thing just isn't for me anymore. Like, you could make a shift within the industry because it is so broad and it is so large, and you could even try something completely different.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a really good point. I think if you can sell in brokerage, you can sell anything. That's my personal opinion. I think that there's a lot of other companies out there that are probably looking for sales talent and don't realize there's someone who would come there and be like, wait, I don't have to get in at 6 and leave it. Right.
Like Abbie, you were at the docks at 6 with the donuts. Like,
yeah. There's a lot of above and beyond that goes on in our space. And
yeah, well, that's what time the trucks are at the dock, so you know who has trucks and what type of trucks, and it was the best way to like follow straight trucks around and see where they were going. So you gotta jump on it when they're there.
True. Yeah, I mean, I guess, and if that's where you've gotta, like you said, if that's where you gotta be at 6, and that's part of the thing of sales, like you gotta go where they're gonna be at. You can't. Yeah, it's a grind. It's a different kind of grind. Everybody says like, oh, they can't do it. It's like, no, you just have to decide you want to accept all the no's you're going to get or the doldrums that you'll go through. But, anyways, I digress. I know a couple other things that you brought up wanting to talk about. You do have an interesting go-to road trip snack. So I want to hear about these snacks, and then any shout outs or final things you want to say before we close. But first, snacks, because I'm a fan of what you put up there. So tell the people.
Oh, well, it's a Snackle box. Well, I feel like for road trips, you have to have all the best options. So a Snackle box is like a tackle box with all the little snacks. But we were talking about wrestling before. And so I always take the Snackle box, and I have one that has like the candies and kind of something to give the kids a little pick me up, like the sugars. And then I have the healthy one, which is like the cut up apples and carrots and celery and everything that's super healthy. So it depends what type of day we're having. But a Snackle box is the way to go. What would you put in your Snackle box?
Paul, you go first.
Oh, my Snackle box. Scott, you'll like this. You got a little creatine gummies. You got some. You got some.
No, you're on a road trip. You're going like 10 hours. What are you bringing?
Oh, dude, it depends on how important it is for me to be healthy.
Just what do you want? Because Abbie
if
talked about apples
healthy
and carrots, but she listed Raisinets, peanut M&Ms, the greatest candy on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Peach rings, also high on the list, and all my other favorites. She's not even telling us all of them.
Well,
so, yeah, like that alley.
Yeah, I'm thinking we got combos in like 2 different flavors.
I was gonna say,
like the real funky ones too. Like I want like pizza combo, all the different what's going on, all of it. I definitely need peanut M&Ms, the pretzel M&Ms. Right, so we gotta have 2. Rock these, right? Yep. I 100% need like a protein bar, but probably like one that's like probably like 3 of them in there, just cause.
Yeah, we'll break them in half and put them in.
Yep. We'll cut them up, make like a little, and then I think the rest of it's going like grapes, blueberries, strawberry, because that's like candy. It still tastes like, to me, it's like candy. And then we're going over the top because there's got to be a pretzel covered in chocolate that isn't an M&M.
Okay.
Oh, you need more than one type.
I need more than one pretzel situation, either like a yogurt covered pretzel, chocolate covered pretzel, peanut butter covered pretzel. There's a lot of different options. I don't know if you know this. Big pretzel.
There are.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, and then maybe a little. I wonder because I'm looking at this Snackle box here. I think you could fit like a dip in one of them. I'm going. I think there's like you have a couple for dips, and then maybe you got some chips going on. Maybe a little Nutella in one of them. Dip the. I mean, you gotta get a little crazy if you've got the organization down.
Oh yeah, it's a big hit.
It seems like I've got one in the cart right now. I'm on the
real thing.
Yeah, there's a snacklebox.com.
No.
Yes, and they, as seen on TikTok, and they have quite a few. And I'm looking at this bundle here, and I'm going to tell you, it's happening. I already know in my truck where it's going to fit.
Abbie, do you have an official Snackle box, or is it?
Not an official. I just buy mine off Amazon, but I do have like different colors for the kids and different sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this isn't a term you coined. This is a real thing now. I'm learning.
Oh,
okay,
it's a thing.
I guess so.
It's a culture. It's a mindset.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, man, we got to. You know, what'd be really cool is to come up with a Snackle box concept for truck drivers, and just and have it be healthy, and steal it out of the. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Something here. Something here.
Kind of like a vending machine.
Yeah, on the go.
It's like a mini one.
Yeah, little charcuterie board of healthy snacks.
Oh,
we'll
all
even
about
let you
the
put the
charcuterie.
The adult Lunchables.
Oh yeah. Soft cheeses, hard cheeses, olives. What are we doing?
Yep, hard salami.
Oh man, see,
gabagool.
Yeah, could you imagine opening up a tackle box and just being like, "Oh, can I interest you in some salami and cheese?"
That happens in my life.
Oh,
I wouldn't put it past you, Abbie.
Yeah, do your kids come up and go, "Mom, do you want some?" And they're like this. They're like, hold it up. Oh,
yeah.
You got
open up their coat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Watches,
it's stuff.
It's the salami provolone wraps.
Yeah.
Oh.
You have to put an ice pack in your pocket or something to keep it cool.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
You don't want the pretzels covered in chocolate to melt. That's a disaster.
That ruins the whole day.
That's tragic. That's, you know what? That's how I explain the importance of pre-starting a reefer unit before it arrives to people that aren't in the industry. You ever had a melted Reese's cup?
Miserable.
No.
Awful, terrible, the worst. No one's gonna accept this. Same thing.
Oh my god. Well, Abbie, any shout outs you want to give and also tell people who are listening where they can find you?
Oh, good. So LinkedIn is really where my main presence is. You can find me on there. As for shout outs, I feel like I've crossed so many people through the years, crossed paths with them that cross them. And so I don't know, there's just so many people. Definitely Christy Knichel. She's the owner of Knichel Logistics.
I said it wrong.
Knichel with a K.
Yeah, you say I thought the K was silent.
No, it's like a
Go back on my LinkedIn page, and I have a way to say Knichel because that's one of the most common things.
Oh boy! See, way to go, Scott. All right. Anyways, Christy Knichel.
Yeah. No, she's awesome. She encouraged me to come into the sales role here, so it's definitely a great opportunity and a great company. So get my backing and support.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, we like hearing that. And I remember we chatted for a little bit while you were at Wave Point. And then when I saw you moved, obviously shot you the congratulations. And I just remember how excited you were to be over there. So it's been, I think, a little over a year now, right?
Yeah, just over a year.
So, yep. So congrats on finding a good spot. It's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Abbie, for joining us, and to all those listening. Please be sure to check us out every other Tuesday at What's Domiciled on YouTube and Spotify for full episodes, and YouTube and Instagram for shorts and reels. So we really appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, all that social media stuff. Just do it, please. And have a great day.